Before we really begin and before I really get into this, I would like to just say I have tried to record this voiceover about 4 or 5 times, and every time I've tried to do so, something has happened. So if the audio gets weird, if I get cut off at random points, I don't care anymore. I don't care if I mess up. It's fine. It's whatever. I understand this video is really late. I've said it before and I will say it again. YouTube is a hobby for me and it will never come before my family, my friends, my job, and my schooling, ever. I do this for fun. I don't do it as a career. I don't have any deadlines. The only deadlines I have are self-imposed. Regardless, I am sure we've all seen the video posted and then deleted by Cecily Bachman, a TikTok mommy blogger, in air quotes. Side note, I really dislike the term mommy blogger. It just feels weirdly derogatory and minimizing, but I think that's just a me thing. Anyways, in this video, she posted about her eldest child, and I believe eldest daughters, that just turned 11, and by just turned, I mean a couple months ago, and a very belated happy birthday to her. I'm also not going to say her name or show the video due to the fact that she is a minor. She's 11 years old. And I don't feel comfortable saying TikTok children's names due to the fact that they're already put on the internet without their prior consent. And it just doesn't sit right with me. In this video, it's just a normal birthday vlog of this girl that just turned 11. And everything goes well. There's cake, the whole shebang. The girl goes to blow out her birthday candles, and this is when it gets bad. She blows them out, and then Bachman relights the candles for every single younger child to blow out on her eldest daughter's birthday. If you find the video, you can see the point where the happiness just drains from this child. And oh my God, does my heart hurt for her. It hurts, man. And if you look very carefully, when she goes to blow out her candles, she covers her younger sister's mouth. And that signals that this is not the first time some bullshit like this has happened before. And it showed this trend I've noticed in the past 5 years or so where parents aren't saying no to their children and not teaching them etiquette. Whether we like it or not, there is social etiquette in our day-to-day life, and a breach of that is seen as disrespectful, rude. It makes other people uncomfortable, and it makes the parent as well as the child or the regular person look bad. Children are more exempt from this since they're learning, and I've noticed if they're about 1 to 3, they're especially exempt from this sort of thing. The highest that I have seen tolerated in terms of age is about 4 or 5. So before school age, before kindergarten, it's generally accepted. And by accepted, I mean it's really just tolerated when a kid has a tantrum. And to me, this just, it really, I promise this will all tie in together. It shows the growing addiction that I've seen. It shows millennials bad parenting to their Gen Alpha kids, which, by the way, 2025 is when the next generation starts. I think it's called Generation Beta or Generation B, which is very strange to think about if you wanted to feel old at all. Back to the original point. I promise this will all make sense again. There's a growing addiction in Gen Alpha to their iPads. I don't blame these kids. I look to their parents for this problem. I've made a video about Book Talk's corn addiction, and the cycle of addiction is the exact same, but instead of corn, it's iPads, and instead of grown adults, it's developing children, which somehow feels even worse. Also, that video will be linked in the bio if you want to watch it. If you don't, that's fine. I also need to emphasize that I'm not a child psychologist or behavioral specialist. It feels very obvious, but someone always seems to miss the point and let it fly right over their head. So once again, I am not a child psychologist or behavioral specialist. Anyways, teachers themselves have even reported that children's behavior is getting worse in the classroom, specifically elementary school-aged children. In a report from an article written by Paulette Delgado and translated from Spanish to English by Daniel Weta, the negative effects of addictive behavior is seen in the classroom. Delgado writes, "On the other hand, the addictive use of screens also affects attention and performance in the classroom. The company Impero Software surveyed more than 2,000 students between 11 and 18 years old. In this report, they found that a quarter have viewed violent content online while in the classroom, and 17% were viewing it on a school device. In addition to this, 10% have used gambling sites, 13% have accessed pornography sites, and 38% play video games, all of this in the middle of their classes or while they are at school." A lot of teachers across social media have talked about the lack of parental guidance and interference in their educations, expecting the teachers to be the parents. And I think that's a really big part of it. The other part is swinging too far the other way in terms of parenting styles. In child psychology, there are 4 parenting styles. Very quickly, the first one is authoritarian. This parenting style is defined as a one-way relationship with the parent holding all of the power and authority between them and the child, strict with the expectation of complete obedience and zero rebellion. This parenting often results in a child that has poor emotional regulation, aggression issues, trouble socializing, and lower self-esteem. The next is authoritative. This is defined as the parent and child having a close, fulfilling, and nurturing relationship. Guidelines and rules are established with reasons as to why, and generally there's more flexibility in discipline. Less expectations of never making a mistake. Authoritative parenting is seen as the best style of parenting since the child is able to be more independent, confident, socially adaptive, and often maintains a healthy relationship with the parent for the rest of their lives. The third is permissive, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. The parent says yes to everything, has really no boundaries, no enforcements, etc. This is when a parent acts more like a friend to their child, and children of this style often lack a self-discipline, poor eating habits, lack of sleeping routines, impulsive behavior, impatience, selfishness, and lacking the skills to handle life. The last one is uninvolved. Once again, I think this is self-explanatory as well. The parent stays away from the child has more freedom and little to pretty much no expectations. As a result, the child is lacking in life skills, and any skills they may have developed were done out of necessity. Difficulties in academics, as well as companionships, jobs, and society in general are seen in adults of this parenting style. With this, I believe many parents are trying to swing away from the authoritarian to be authoritative, but end up being permissive. Authoritative is also known as gentle parenting, and it's very often confused and mistaken with permissive parenting. It's understandable that a lot of parents don't want to be their own authoritarian parents, and they don't want to be treated with disrespect like they aren't people. They don't want to do that to their own children. And that's totally understandable. I cannot ever fault someone for wanting to break a generational cycle. They want to avoid their familial cycle. So maybe that is more of the reason than anything. And I feel like these parents are very unaware that they're starting something completely different, and it's just as negatively impactful. If you go one side to the other of the spectrum too much, it's not good, which is why the authoritative is the middle. That's the middleman. That's where you want to be. I grew up slightly more authoritarian style parenting, but my parents were more often authoritative than anything. There's a lot that I can tell them. There's a lot that I'm not going to tell them for privacy reasons and because sometimes you don't need to share everything with your parents. But I can always say my parents did not act like my friend. They were never my best friends. I had peers my own age that were my best friends and still are for the most part. I still have most of my friends that I've made in elementary, middle, and high school. But it feels like this shifting is too far. And we're seeing some really, really bad problems. Of course, this is a much bigger issue than just not wanting to be the parent that you might have had if you had a very bad childhood. It's a lot more than that. It has to do with economics and family dynamics and feminism. It has way more to do with that. I would like to remind you that makeup and mumbling is more of just opinions with a little bit of research done to back up what I'm thinking, as opposed to entire video essays. There's a channel that I've watched, and I can't remember exactly what the channel is, but it'll be up on the screen, where this creator is a mom and she has fantastic videos. I watched a couple of them in preparation for this video and this voiceover as well as I was writing the script for it, but I think she does a fantastic job of explaining certain things. And of course, the big essayists, the big video essayists on YouTube are always fantastic. They always have their sources cited and they are so engaging, and I always credit them because without them, I wouldn't be here. So regardless, TLDR, in case you weren't really paying attention, I think a lot of this has to do with wanting to be authoritative or a good, gentle parent, and it ends up being permissive with a whole other host of problems that come with this parenting style.